Thanks, Gary. And before I start, I'd just like to thank you and also your union, the GMB, for the fantastic results you've secured in the Supreme Court in relation to the rights of Uber workers and also workers at Asda. Conference, I'm delighted to be speaking to you, albeit digitally, on behalf of the Public and Commercial Services Union, the largest trade union representing civil servants and government workers. Now, conference, while coronavirus has impacted everyone, the pandemic's economic legacy has hit young workers the hardest. Many young workers are disproportionately concentrated in precarious forms of employment, such as the gig economy, 0 hours contracts, and also work in those industries that have been most affected by the pandemic, such as the culture sector, hospitality, and retail. There's therefore little surprise that youth unemployment stands at a staggering 15% versus 5% for the general population, and that of the 700,000 people who've lost their jobs over the past year, 9 in 10 of those people were under the age of 35. Now, in my union, young workers have worked tirelessly to get the country back on its feet. We delivered Brexit, we've designed and implemented the furlough scheme, and we've processed an unprecedented number of universal credit payments. Disgracefully, however, while Dominic Cummings received a 40% pay rise, our members, along with nurses and other key workers in the public sector, face a pay freeze. Young workers simply cannot afford this. We're more likely to be in lower grade jobs and more likely to be trapped in expensive private rented accommodation. And in light of this, it is absolutely right that my trade union is calling for a 10% pay rise for our members, and that the Royal College for Nursing is calling for a 12.5% pay rise for their members. Now, these figures weren't plucked out of thin air. They're a response to the fact that since 2010, we have suffered a decade of pay restraint and pay erosion. Now, there'll be some who think that, given the economic picture, now is not the right time to ask for a 10% pay rise. But to those people, I ask this: if not now, when? Because if we have learned anything over the past 11 years, it is that there is never a good time to ask a Tory government for a pay rise for public sector workers. We need to defeat the pay freeze. And Marcus Rashford has shown on the issue of free school meals that when sufficient pressure is brought to bear, the government will U-turn. And that's why I'm proud that my union, led by Mark Zawatka and Fran Heathcote, organised a petition against the pay freeze, which secured over 100,000 signatures, forced a debate in Parliament on the issue, and have worked with the TUC to lobby individual members of Parliament. And while it is absolutely correct that we continue to lobby the government and make the moral and economic case for a well-paid public sector, we also need to bolster our industrial deterrent. Because let's be clear, conference, if the government is committed to this reckless and irresponsible approach to public sector pay, and it proves that lobbying alone cannot defend our members' interests, then we need to seriously explore coordinated national strike action. That means everyone at today's conference going to their workplaces, speaking to members, and joining up with activists in other trade unions to send a clear message to the government. Young workers should not, cannot, and will not pay the price of economic recovery. Solidarity.